Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the January 2022 meeting of the Austin Ukulele Society. I'm so glad you're here. Happy New Year. Happy 2022. I just realized today, as I was putting all my gear together, this is our first get-together of 2022, and it's also the 22nd virtual meeting we've had since we started doing these. So, again, Happy New Year. Very happy that you all could join us this evening. Jen and I were looking forward to gathering together in person for the first time in a couple of years, but sometimes reality intervenes while we're making other plans, and so I'm glad we could be here as our backup plan and to be able to have all you fine folks from all around, outside of Austin, everywhere tuning in and watching. So thank you so much for joining us. If you're on the live chat, give us a shout out, say hello, let us know where you're watching from, and let us know if you're a first timer as well. And if you are, thanks for joining. I hope you have a good time tonight. Let me start by introducing Jen Richardson. Jen is my partner in all things related to the Austin Ukulele Society. She does so many of the administrative and managerial tasks, and tonight she is on the live chat, so she will be responding and reacting to your comments and questions as we go along. So again, if you're on the live chat, say hello, give Jen a shout out and a big thank you, and let us know where you're watching from. Also, since we have Jen on the live chat, if you have a question that comes up as we go along through the get-together, you can post that in the chat, and Jen can text that to my wife Lyda, who is right here to my left, and we can respond, or I can respond to your questions in almost real time, maybe with a minute or two delay, but we can make this seem like it's more of an in-person, one-on-one lesson. So if you do have a question, don't hesitate to put that in the chat, and it'll get passed up the chain and get to me, and I'll answer if I can. So thanks very much, Jen, for all that you're doing to prepare us for the meeting and also while we're doing this. It just makes it feel much more like a real get-together. If you are a first-timer, let me just real quickly, in about 30 seconds, give you the brief overview of how this evening will unfold. I will be doing just a few announcements. Usually it doesn't take long, maybe 5 or 6 minutes. Just some ukulele business to take care of, and also some requests to make of you for participating in our featured song this month. So I'll make those few announcements, and then we will play a warm-up song together. We always start off our meetings with Bob Marley's Three Little Birds. It's a terrific warm-up song, so we'll play that together. Actually, I'll play it, and you get to play along with me. Sadly, I don't get to hear you. I wish I could. Then we will focus in on our featured song of the month, which this month is The Turtles' Happy Together. Again, the plan was that we would be physically together in one location. We would be happy together, but again, we're going to be happy virtually together, and we're going to do that song. And again, for those of you who are first-timers, rather than, and I know there's a lot of groups that do this, which I think is an awesome way to share music, but they go through a bunch of songs in a gathering. What I've always liked to do is to sort of treat our get-togethers as more of a workshop. So Jen and I together will figure out and choose a song, and then that becomes our featured song for the month. And so rather than doing several songs, we do a deep dive on that one song. So we will take a look at the various strums and the different options for strums. We will look at the chords and how the chords fit together in chord progressions, and even some different options for how you might approach playing the song in different configurations. We'll look at the picking parts in the intro, for example, and there's another couple of really cool picking parts in the verses. We'll even, I hope we have time, we'll even take a look at some of the vocal harmonies that appear in the song. My goal is that by the time we get to the end, and then when we've gone through all that breakdown and deep dive of the song, we'll go through it a couple of times, at least once, but hopefully we have time to do it twice, where again, I'll play and you all play along with me. and then we'll do a wrap-up song, and as we exit, after we play our wrap-up song, we do these wonderful group videos that Marty Porter and Paul Butler put together. More on that in a minute. But I'll play some of our greatest hits at the end of the evening as we sort of wrap up and end the evening. The goal is, as we do this kind of deep dive focus on a single song, is that, you know, at the end of it, you really have a very, very deep understanding of the song and how it fits together. But also, my hope is that you will also learn some techniques and some chord progressions and some strum techniques that you can also then apply to other songs. There's a lot of forms and patterns that appear in multiple songs, and so my hope is that in learning this song, you also, when you're learning another song on your own down the road, you go, hey, that's just like that chord progression or that strum or that picking part that appeared in that other song. And so you've been introduced to it and you have an opportunity to learn it again. So that's sort of at a high level the agenda for the evening. I hope that sounds good to you. So let me just go through a couple of business items and announcements. One is, this is something we've done since the very first time we started doing these virtual meetings. I'd like to encourage you to take a selfie with your uke or watching the live stream, or just a picture of you with your ukulele or with anyone else who's in your home, and send it to us. You can send a copy of your selfie or a photo to austinukes@gmail.com. If you will send that to us, what Jen and I do is we compile all of those photographs and I create a collage of them. I post them on our Facebook page. I post them on our website. It's nice for me because I don't really get to experience you all being involved in the meeting, and so it's nice to see your faces and get a sense that we really were together and there really were people out there. So consider doing that. Again, it doesn't have to be while we're doing the live stream, but take a photo of yourself or get a selfie made and send it to austinukes@gmail.com. If you could do that by this coming Sunday, which would be January the 16th, that would be fantastic because that gives Sunday evening and Monday for Jen and I to grab all of the photos and put them together and get them posted hopefully by Monday or Tuesday. So consider doing that. It's a great thing, and you can see our whole collection of them on our AustinUkuleleSociety.com website. Next, I want to encourage you to participate in our group video project. This is another thing that we've done since the very beginning of our virtual meetings. Shortly before this live meeting, this live stream, I record a demo of my arrangement of the song. And so on my YouTube channel, and there's a link to it in the description for this live stream. If you go to the description, don't go there right now, but in the description to this live stream on my YouTube channel, I've posted a video of me performing my arrangement of Happy Together. And there are, I think there's up to like 6 or 7 bobs that appeal there because I'm singing all the different harmony parts, I'm playing all the picking parts, I'm even playing my little glockenspiel that I got for a Christmas gift. So just to give you a sense of the arrangement, but we use that as the basis for a group video. And what we do is I create a play-along version of that demo video that has all the slides and the chords and the lyrics and me singing it, that you can then play along and record yourself, send that to us, and then our good friends Marty Porter and Paul Butler compile all of those together into a virtual group performance of the song. And they're really, really spectacular. Every month, Marty and Paul outdo themselves. They're really great. And you'll see a selection of those at the end of tonight's get-together. We'll show you some of those. But I do want to encourage you to participate. There's really no better way to really sort of level up, to get your A game in terms of playing, than to either play it in front of an audience or the next best thing, play it in front of a camera. So if you are interested, and I want to encourage you to do that, you can send an email to austinukes@gmail.com. Send us an email and let us know you are interested in participating in the group video project. It's not a commitment, but just let us know that you're interested. Please do that if you can, again, by this Sunday, July 16. So send us that email. Next week, probably Thursday-ish, you will get an email from Jen with some helpful hints on how to go about recording your video, as well as a link to my play-along video. As I mentioned, I'll create a version of the demo that has me playing, but then also has all the chords and all the lyrics that you can play along with. So it'll tell you where to get all of that information. You will record yourself, and it'll give instructions for you on where to upload your recording of yourself. So again, those instructions will go out on Thursday. Please wait until you get the instructions before you record yourself. I know it's exciting. I know you want to do it and you're anxious to record yourself, but be calm, wait for the instructions, and because it's important that you be playing, that we all be playing along together, following the same soundtrack, if that makes sense. So do wait until you get the instructions. Also, one of the cool things that Marty's been doing is including in the videos, the latest ones that we've done, the location of where folks are watching us from and recording their playing from. So if you're interested in doing that, include your name as you'd like it to appear and your location. Basically city, state, or city, province, or your country if you're not in the US, wherever you happen to be watching from, if you would like us to display that, because what Marty tries to do is do a highlight of the different participants. And again, we're not going to do that if you don't want to, but if you would like to have us identify where you're playing from, let us know. So again, send us a note, austinukes@gmail.com. Send it by this Sunday the 16th. You'll get an email next week with instructions on how to proceed. Okay? This wouldn't be, of course, a YouTube thing if I didn't ask you to please subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're not already a subscriber, you will be, when you subscribe, costs you nothing, of course, but you get notified when we schedule these events. And not knowing what the future looks like, you'll want to be in the know on when we're going to be doing this again, when we might perhaps be meeting in person if the world allows us to do that. So give us a subscription. That will give you a heads up what we're up to. If you like what you see and you like what we're doing here, you can also press the like button. So hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and all buttons of that nature. All right. And then lastly, I want to highlight our Austin Ukulele Society t-shirts. As you may know, every fall we come up with a new t-shirt design. Selling our t-shirts is just a way for us to be able to generate a little bit of income so that we can cover our operating expenses and do things like this on a regular basis. So this year, just to zoom in, there we go, this year, our 2022 design, since we have spent the last year or so being exclusively online and now have made so many friends all around the world. We've made so many gatherings and so many connections and friends all over the place, all over the US, all over the world, that we are now featuring the Ukulele Around the World t-shirt design. So again, it starts here in Austin and travels around the globe. We've even got Hawaii on here. We've got Madeira, the birthplace of the instrument that ultimately became the ukulele. So if you'd like to get this t-shirt or any one of our t-shirt designs, again, you can just send an email here to austinukes@gmail.com, and Jen can get you connected with how to get your hands on one of our wonderful t-shirts. You can also check austinukulelesociety.com. There is a page there, if you look at the menu, that says shop, and you will see photos of all of our different t-shirt designs, as well as some indication of their availability. So I think that's all of the announcements I've got. One quick aside, our next scheduled meeting, the second Thursday of the month, will be February 10th. I do not know what we will be doing on February 10th. Jen and I have decided that our deciders and our predictors are broken this year. So please do stay tuned. Please be watching our YouTube channel, our Facebook page, or our website, or keep an eye on your email for an announcement from us on or around February 1st on what we will be doing on the second Thursday. Whether we will be meeting here, again virtually, just like tonight, or if we will try to meet in person in Austin and follow that up with an online meeting. Not sure yet. Things would have to make a pretty dramatic change in the next 10 to 14 days, I would think. But anyway, I'm not going to try to predict. I'm just going to ask you to please keep an eye peeled if you're interested in finding out what we're doing next month. All right, enough chit chat. Let's play some music together. Let's do our warm-up song. As we have done for all of our 11 years, and tonight is actually the beginning of our 12th year as an organization. And every one of those meetings since January of 2011, we've always kicked off our meeting with Bob Marley's Three Little Birds. It's a terrific warm-up song, 4 chords, a nice gentle strum pattern, a nice moderate tempo. It's a great way to limber up our fingers, warm up our voices, and remind ourselves that every little thing is going to be all right. Because for the next hour or so, it is. For those who aren't familiar with our little setup here, we've got the Bob cam here so you can see all this. Me talking and singing. We've also got down below here, we've got the strum cam so you can see what my left and right hands are doing, especially helpful when we're going through the tutorial part of the evening. And then over here, we have the slides that will have the chords and the lyrics and the other things you need to follow along. And Lida will be operating the slides as we go through this. So please let me know if there's anything going on with the sound or the picture, so that we can make adjustments as we go along. But hopefully everything is sounding and everything is looking as good as possible, given this. So here we go. Let me drop over to Three Little Birds. On this song, we're going to begin by just strumming on C. And we're going to do this strum pattern, this down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down. Kind of that tempo too. We'll strum on C, and then when I get the vibe that we're all strumming together, I'll count us in. So on C. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Let's do the verse. Rise up this morning, smile with the rising sun. 3 little birds sit by my doorstep, singing sweet songs of melodies pure and true. Singing, this is my message to you. Singing, don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Let's do the verse one more time. Rise up this morning, smile with the rising sun. 3 little birds sit by my doorstep, singing sweet songs, melodies pure and true. Singing, this is my message to you. Singing, don't worry 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Singing don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. One last time. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. 'Cause every little thing, yes indeed, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. One last time, let's slow it down. 'Cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Yes, yes indeed. Let's have some cheers. Yes, nicely done. Well played. Very good. Okay. Okay, so let's cue up our featured song for the evening. Just takes a second. All right. All right, Happy Together. Happy Together by the Turtles in 1967. This wasn't their first hit, but it was their first and last #1 hit, and it was just hugely successful in 1967. It's been covered many, 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 many times over the years. Most recently by Weezer, did a cover of Happy Together, and My Chemical Romance, I think just maybe 3 or 4 years ago, did a cover of Happy Together. So just a really upbeat song, happy lyrics, although I suspect, and Gary, if you're out there, I think you are correct. I think there is maybe a darker interpretation of the lyrics of this song, that maybe this relationship the gentleman is having is really all in his imagination, as he says, imagine you and me, and imagine how the world can be, and what if I call you up? And so I think it's possible this is not actually a song about a active relationship, but maybe it's somebody thinking forward and just imagining the whole thing about what he, might like to happen, but it's an unrequited love, perhaps. So just a different interpretation, but still, nonetheless, is a very upbeat and wonderful tune. So what I'd like to do is play through the song one time, and then we will go through our deep dive and our breakdown of the various parts of the song. Okay? So let's see. Let's start here. There's a little there's a little picking part that starts. So the strumming actually starts after the first 2 measures. So we open with, if you're familiar with the song, we open with a little picking part. Then the strums come in, continuing the picking part, and then we start verse 1 of the song. So I'm just going to play the picking part twice through, and then start strumming. So here we go. All right, so ready? So 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, and. Imagine me and you, I do. I think about you day and night. It's only right to think about the girl you love and hold her tight. So happy together. If I should call you up, invest a dime, and you say you belong to me and ease my mind, imagine how the world could be so very fine, so happy together. I can't see me loving nobody but you for all my life. When you're with me, so happy together. Ba, 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 ba. All right, so there you go. Really great song, and it's got a lot of nice alternating vocal parts. I'm trying to sing them both. There's some really nice picking parts going on in there. I'd encourage you to just check out my demo video. Again, the plan was that we would do this song in person where we'd have the different harmonies, but Jen, just between us, I think that when we do gather together, maybe not the first meeting, but at some point, we really should do this song rather, in one of our in-person meetings. So it's just such a great group play-along song. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Let's just real quickly take a look at just sort of the organization of the song at a high level first. As I mentioned, we start off with two measures, plus there's a pickup note at the beginning, there's a pickup note at the beginning, but we start with two measures of an instrumental with no strumming, and then the strum comes in on the repeat of that picking part, and we're going to talk about this picking part. Actually, we're going to spend a fair amount of time. I have what I think is kind of a very basic approach if you're just sort of starting doing some finger picking, and also a more advanced version. So we'll take a look at that. We'll also take a look at the various strum patterns that we could do here in this part. We then start out with verse 1, which is just a solo vocal singing along. There's a really interesting picking part that's kind of going on in the background. It's difficult to play that just on its own while you're singing, but we're going to take a look at that as well when we get there. So we have this first verse, then we get into verse 2, where there is this backing vocal that happens. This call you up, ease my mind, very fine, so happy. And that has different lyrics and different verses, but you have this really nice vocal harmony that backs up the main melody. So we'll take a look at that when we get a little bit further down the road. Then we head into the chorus, and here's something really interesting. So the song is, in my arrangement anyway, is in D minor. Now the original recording by the Turtles, actually they did two. They did one recording in E minor and another recording in F sharp minor, and it's the F sharp minor version that actually was released. So if you go to Spotify or YouTube Music or wherever you listen to your music, you will hear this song played in F sharp minor. And you can play along using these chord shapes with a capo on the 4th fret, but I've recast this song in D minor, and there are several reasons for that, which I hope to make clear as we go a little bit further along. But here in the chorus, we change keys. So we're changing from D minor to the parallel major, D major. So we're switching from D minor to D major. I think the technical music theory term is the minor major switcheroo. I think that's what it's called, the switch. No. But it is a switcheroo, and it's really effective. There's several songs that do that, but I like this one of the best switches from minor to major. So now we're in D major. We have D and A minor, D, F. We go through this. Now we're back to verse 3. Again, we have that backing vocal. Different words, happy together. A repeat of the chorus. Verse 4. We actually have a harmony that goes along with the melody. So rather than having those backing vocals that you and me, da, 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 there's actually a full melody that backs that up. If we have time, we'll look at that. And there's also a picking part. It's actually played by an oboe in the original, but I've transcribed it here to play on ukulele. And again, I've got that later on in the presentation. Then we are into verse 3, which is a bop 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 verse where, and you gotta love something where all the lyrics are bob. That's, that sells me right there. So this is a bob bob bob. Then we are back to D minor for verse 5, and do our repeats, happy together. We do a ba 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 ba, while other folks are singing so happy together, etc., etc. And then we end on a D major. So be aware that, again, for that very last chord, we're going up until that point, we're doing A7 to D minor, A7, D minor, A7 to D minor, and then we end on a D major. For those music theorists out there, that's referred to as a Picardy cadence, where you do a switch at the end of a song cast in a minor key to the parallel major. So just an interesting way to end the song. There's a handful of pop songs that do that. Killing Me Softly, Roberta Flack's version of the song, also does the same thing, switches from a minor to a major for the last note. So that's just a quick overview of the song. Any questions come up yet? Doing all right?
Somebody asked something, you're talking about B flat being hard to play. It always comes out muted for me, at least any chance there's a modification we can use when we get to it.
Okay, so yeah, the question was B flat is a challenging chord to play. We'll take a look at the B flat. Yes, I have some suggestions that you might try, and also I think a little practice exercise that you could work on your own. That will help. B flat is always the chord that, people groan. Actually, the chord everyone groans on is E major, which itself is not that difficult, but everyone groans over E major. But the second one is B flat, but there just ain't no getting around it. You got to familiarize yourself with B flat. It is the 4 chord in the key of F, and so it's hard to get around not getting it. So I have some suggestions on some things that you might try. I do want to mention just a couple of things. The main thing I want to mention before we get too far along is this very first thing here that appears on this slide. This little apostrophe mark, you probably saw it in the slides as I was performing the arrangement. That indicates a vocal rest. So it's a place where we're continuing to strum, but for a beat, we're not singing. And I put that in there so that, for example, when we're playing together as a group, or when you're recording yourself playing your part for the group video, there's a little break. So it's a way of putting in some punctuation. So for example, here's, the third verse of the song. Me and you rest, and you and me rest. No matter how they tossed the dice, rest, it had to be. So there's just a little gap there. We don't stop our strum, but we do momentarily. And again, it's just a way of emphasizing the fact that there's a little gap there for you to catch a breath. Me and you and me, no matter how they tossed the dice, it had to be. So just something to be aware of there. These other things, a hold and a stop, don't really apply in this song, so I won't take time to go over them. So we've got more time to do other things in just a bit. So let's talk about the strums. Now, we have 2 main strum patterns that I'd like to talk about. And it works out very nicely because we have one strum pattern that we can use in the verses and another strum pattern that we can use in the choruses. And we can split them up very nicely like that. The other nice thing about this song that makes it kind of a nice beginner song is that there are no instances where you have the same strum pattern but spread out across 2 chords. That is, in every case throughout the song, every chord is played for at least one full 4-beat strum pattern. In some cases, in fact, 2 full 4-beat strum patterns. So that takes a little bit of a challenge off the table for those of you who've played some of our other songs. So our first strum pattern is this down, 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 down. And that's really all there is to it, this down. And I'm muting the strings here with my left hand so that I get this dum, 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 dum. Now you'll notice I keep my hand in constant motion, up and down. What is changing is whether or not my digits either my fingers or, if you're a thumb player, your thumb, are making contact with the strings or not. So where you see here in this little diagram, where the up is grayed out, that means we're not making contact with the strings, even though our hand is moving up and down, right? So again, down, 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 down. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if that is challenging, if you are a very, very new beginner, you may want to consider a couple of simplified options. One is just to do simply one strum per measure on that number 1 that you see there. So instead of doing 1, 2, 3, 4, you simply do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you need a little extra time to get your hands in position for the next chord, it's perfectly okay to do that. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you want to try something a little bit more challenging, you can do 2 strums per 4-beat pattern on the 1 and on the 3. So again, instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, you could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, to give yourself a little bit of time to get your hands in position for the next chord if you need that little bit of extra time. So perfectly fine. In fact, if we were all together as a group, for those who have been to our meetings in person know I always encourage folks to do that. It actually sounds really nice when you have a group of people who are strumming the full strum and then others who are sort of punctuating and emphasizing, in this case, the 1, the 1, the 1, or the 1 and the 3, and the 1 and the 3, and kind of create that nice heartbeat for the overall song. So it's never something to be concerned about if you need to make the strum a little bit simpler for yourself. Perfectly fine. I made a note here of strumming versus plucking because you can also, I found myself sometimes when I was not paying attention to how I was strumming, instead of strumming, so for example, I'll do this on a D minor chord. That would be strumming it. I found sometimes I was plucking the strings, which is just another thing you can do on this particular chord. So what I'm doing there, if I can show that here on the old strum cam, is I've got my ring finger attached to my A string, then my middle finger, then my index, and lastly my thumb. I have them diagonally across the strings, not like this, not in a row. I do it diagonally so that each finger has got its own lane, and then I'm just pulling the strings to C, I don't know. Again, it's just something to consider that you might want to try. Again, as I was sort of playing along, not paying attention to myself strumming, I just noticed that sometimes I was doing that. So just an option there. I did want to bring up kind of an alternate strum, and as I was playing the arrangement for the first time just a few minutes ago, you probably noticed that sometimes I didn't do bum, 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 bum. That occasionally after the 3rd and the 4th beat, I was letting my fingers drag over the string. So instead of, what I was getting was, which again is totally fine as well. If you listen to my demo recording of the arrangement, you'll see that there's a few spots where I actually do that as well, just to sort of vary up. And again, I wasn't thinking about it. It just sort of seemed right. It felt right at the time, and so I just played that. So let's try that together. Again, it's down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. So it's just an alternate thing. In fact, I find when I'm playing alone on this song, what I will often do is kind of mix up the two. I'll do for example, I might do D minor, C, where I'm kind of mixing up. I'm doing one of the first down strum and the second one, and kind of changing them up. I don't know. It's just a fun thing to experiment with. And again, you can do the same thing with kind of a, where you can strum and pluck, something to play with. And just like the previous strum, if you find yourself wanting to just play one strum per 4-beat pattern, perfectly fine, or 2 strums on the 1 and the 3 count. Again, if you need some additional time to be able to get your hands into position for the next chord. Let's see. So then we have a different strum pattern on the chorus. And this is our old friend, the island strum, which is so prominent, so ubiquitous in so many songs as they are played on the ukulele. You can hardly listen to most covers of songs on ukulele where this strum is not used. So I've applied this in the choruses. And again, here we're doing down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. So join in with me if you would. So 1, 2, 3, 4, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. And the thing to notice about this particular strum pattern, if you're analyzing it, is that what's different about this strum pattern from the previous one is that it's not just an up strum that is grayed out, but also a down strum that's grayed out. So at that 3 count, we're actually moving our hand down, but we're not touching the strings. Again, 1, 2, and 4, and 1, 2, and 4, and. So we're kind of skipping that 3 beat. Again, as in the previous ones, if you just want to do 1 strum per pattern, perfectly fine. In this case, because we're not playing the 3 beat, if you want to do 2 strums per 4-beat measure, what you want to do is to do it on the 1 and the 2 rather than the 1 and the 3. So in other words, instead of, for example, this would be the full strum, 1, dum, 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 down, down, up, down, up. You could do 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. That's 1 strum. Or you could do 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, to give yourself time. All right? I hope that makes sense. All right. Now, let's look at the chords. These are the chords of the song. So we've got 3 different chord progressions. It's actually a pretty nicely packed song in terms of the musical phrases that fit together in the song. Let me grab a quick drink. So this first chord progression is what we hear in the verses. So it's a, I hope you can see my strum cam pretty well. So the first chord we're going to play is a D minor, then a C, then our famous B flat, and then A7. Now I'm playing a low G uke. I can switch over to a high G. It doesn't really matter. There's a couple things I want to show on low G, so I've got this one in my hands, but I've got my trusty high G tenor right behind me here, so if I need to pull that out, I will. Now let's talk a minute about the B flat chord, because I know this causes people a lot of heartburn. There's a couple of different ways that you can approach this. One is, of course, the main thing you want to do is to be able to hold down those two strings, your E string and your A string, with, or rather hold them down on the first fret at the same time. That can be accomplished either by just holding down only those two strings, or some people find it easier to bar across all four of the strings and then put the the middle finger on the second fret of the C string and the ring finger on the third fret of the G string. What is helpful to some people in this approach is that this is a little bit beefier part of the finger, and so it doesn't take quite as much pressure to hold that down. I see my autofocus went out of focus just for a second. So it doesn't take quite as much pressure to hold that down. Personally, I do this approach where I'm only holding down these two strings. One other thing that you might want to try is the placement of the thumb on the back of the neck. I think what a lot of people tend to do is to do, see if I can show it here, is to do this. In fact, let me blow this up. Is to do this here. You notice I've got my thumb right behind my index finger. And that is a really hard grip to do. And I say that because this is what is more properly called a precision grip. It's not meant for strength. What I recommend doing here is to move the thumb back on the headstock. Let me rotate the headstock. To move the thumb back so it's not immediately behind the finger that's barring the chords, so that you get more leverage behind that finger. This comes in handy in general for bar chords. We're going to look at another bar chord in just a few minutes, but it comes in handy for that, to have that thumb not immediately behind the index finger. And I say that as a person who has spent a great deal of time with tendinitis in my hands, that this kind of a move where you're pinching the neck like so is really, really hard on the tendons of your thumb. It's really hard on the tendons of your finger. I myself have gotten tendinitis doing this kind of an approach where I move my thumb back to create sort of a natural fulcrum instead of trying to just pinch with sheer force on my thumb and finger. I personally find that helpful. I don't know if that will work for you, but again, as a person who has dealt with tendinitis many times, that has been helpful to me to avoid doing this pinch move with the fretboard, with the neck of the instrument pinched between my index and my thumb. So that is something to try. Something else I'd like to encourage as an exercise is this, where we go up the neck and down the neck with this configuration, right? So in other words, so try this. We start with an A. So here's a B flat. We're going to move that down one fret. So our index finger is now unemployed. It's just hanging out there when we've got our, this is not normally how you would play an A major, but I'm just offering this as an example for an exercise. So this is going to be our A chord. Then we go up one to B flat. Then take that up one to B, one more to C, C sharp, D, E flat, E major, E major, and then F. And then move our way down to E, E flat, D, and then back up again. I think that's a really good sort of muscle building exercise. Don't do it to discomfort. But I think it's a good drill to practice on to maintain that shape and move it up and down the neck so that you get the feel of that configuration in your fingers, in your muscle memory. Also, it's a little, well, I think it becomes more challenging as you move down the neck to this B flat. It's always hard to fret across this first fret. So starting up here and moving down, or rather here, moving up and then back down, provides different levels of tension on your fingers. And again, I think it's a good exercise. And I think if you did that exercise once a day for 2 weeks, well, first of all, I guarantee by the end of those 2 weeks, you will have done it 14 times. I can guarantee you of that. But beyond that, I think you will have a much better aptitude for knowing what that feels like and being able to get all 4 of those strings at the same time. I was being silly about the 14 days and 2 weeks. So give that a try, all right? So what we're going to do now is we're going to play this chord progression. And the way this works is 8 beats per box that you see there. So 8 beats on D minor, 8 beats on C, 8 beats on B flat, and 8 beats on A7. And you can use either of these 2 strum patterns that are indicated here, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, whichever strikes your fancy. Was there a question?
There is a question, but it's a different topic. So if you want to finish this, and
so Lida's telling me there's a question, but not related to this particular thing we're on. So let's put a pin in that till we get to a better stopping point. All right. So let's play this together. So 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, and D minor, C, B flat, A7. Again, D minor, very good. Let's do that again. Maybe slow it down just a little bit. So here we go. We'll try it again, just a little bit slower. So 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, and D minor, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, B flat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, A7, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Again, D minor, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, C, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, B flat, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, A7, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, very good. Was there something else that came up?
so relating to the B flat,
Yeah.
you try using all 4 fingers, 1 on each string.
So the question was this: can you play a B flat using all 4 fingers, 1 finger on each string? And yeah, you can. In fact, there it is, right there. If you wanted to try that. So what I've got is I've got my index finger and my middle finger on the E string and A string consecutively. My ring finger is on the 2nd fret of the C string, and then I've got my pinky over here on the 3rd fret of the G string. And there it is. I personally find that to be a little bit awkward, but you certainly can do it. Oh, there's one other thing I wanted to mention about the B flat as an exercise to practice, and it is this. Let me enlarge here. So you could start out by playing what's called a B flat major 7. The B flat major 7 is, let's see if I can show you this, it's everything except this A string is left open. So in other words, I do not have my index finger holding down the first frets of the E and the A string. That first string, the A string, is open, and that chord sounds like this. It's kind of a lovely ethereal chord, all right? That B flat major 7. Let me get this more into the screen. So what you can do as another exercise is to play that B flat major 7 and then lay your index finger down across both strings. So what you get is this effect. B flat major 7, B flat major, B flat major 7, B flat major, B flat major 7, B flat major. So again, that's just, I think, is another drill. It's something that I used to do. Should have mentioned that earlier. When I was, learning how to play these chords, just on an evening, as my long-suffering wife can attest, I would sit on the couch and just do. And you notice all that's changing is I'm changing my index finger from only holding down one string to holding down two. So I'm just sort of flexing that index finger. And I would do that by the hour, because that's the kind of simple mind I have. Yes, was there another question?
Okay, this is different topic. I see a hammer on the bridge to help stop the sound. Easy to see for D minor. How do you hammer for a C? Instead of lifting fingers, are you putting down to mute the strings on the bridge?
Yes, so that's a very, very astute observation on someone's part. I don't know who that is, but very well observed. And what you're hearing is I'm actually muting the strings, so that instead of, if I weren't muting the strings, and it's just, again, it's something I'm doing to sound more like a march, like the original sounds like. So instead of doing this, where the notes ring out each time, I'm actually chopping up the note, so it's more like this. If you can hear the difference, that one, the notes are very staccato, so it's chop, 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 chop. And as the questioner very astutely observed, I'm doing that in a couple of different ways. One is, for example, on the B flat, it's very easy to do. What I'm doing is, after I strum the chord, I'm lifting my fingers slightly off the fretboard, but still touching the strings. So I create this effect. It's very subtle. I don't know if you can see it, but so my fingers are kind of bouncing on and off the fretboard. But obviously you can't do that for a C because all but one of the strings is open. So you're exactly correct in what you've said. I am muting the strings using the side of my palm. It's not necessary. I'm just doing it for effect because I'm here alone. If we were doing this in a big group, I wouldn't even point that out. But since you can hear me so prominently, since I'm playing solo, it is coming out. So if you're playing this as simply, that's perfectly fine. I'm just chopping it up a little bit, but you're exactly right. In some cases, I'm muting the strings by slightly lifting my fingers up, but leaving them so that they're not touching the fretboard, but they're still touching the strings. In other cases, I'm using the side of my hand to mute the strings, okay? So I hope that answers your question or addresses your comment. If not, please do let me know in the chat. It's important, more important for me to answer your questions while we're live here than to just get through every single slide, because we want to get through every single one. So thanks for the question. By the way, this little chord progression here is something, it's really great to learn because there are a lot of different songs that use it. I was thinking of this a while back. Jen and I were talking about doing a Hall & Oates song. So for example, in Maneater, it's the same chords, in the key of D minor. And just like this song, Daryl Hall goes back and forth between D minor and D major effortlessly. Anyway, and there's also, if we don't do 8 beats per chord, we've also got hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Again, that chord progression, by learning it in this song, there's a bunch of different songs you can bring this chord progression to bear on. So anyway, now I did want to point out there is a different way that you can approach these same chords, and that is to play them as closed chords, as bar chords. So this is a more of an advanced technique, but I did want to share it for those of you who want to try it. Where we can play the chords as they are indicated here. Now, you may have noticed there's a little number next to the chord shapes, and those indicate the fret where that number is. So, for example, that 5 in D minor means that that bar chord is appearing at the 5th fret, and we're playing it like so. I think I have a little diagram of it here, yes, where we've got the index finger, let me move my middle finger out of the way, we've got the index finger barring across the 5th fret, and I have the ring finger here on the 7th fret of the G string. Right? So we're playing that like so. And again, I'm putting my thumb not immediately behind my index finger and forcing it to pinch. I'm putting my thumb back here so that I'm not applying too much pressure on the muscles in my fingers and my thumb. That C is the same shape as the B flat, which we did in our little exercise, right? It's just up 2 frets. B flat. So if you do that little exercise, you will get that. And then we just move that shape down 2 frets to B flat, and then we go to A7. So in this case, it sounds like this. Very clearly, when you play it in these shapes, you very clearly get that sense of a walk down, that not at that speed for this song, but you get the idea that we're since these are all closed chords, you can also do that lifting technique to create the muting of the string. So it's kind of a nice effect. So I wanted to share that for those of you who want to try these a little bit more advanced chord shapes. These are sometimes referred to as closed chords, closed in the sense that all of the strings are touched. So none of the strings are open, which means these are also movable chords, and they're sometimes called movable chords because you can move them up and down the fretboard, just like I was demonstrating in that exercise of B flat to B to C sharp. That chord shape is movable, and every time you move it 1 fret, you're moving up or down a half step. So again, closed chords, movable chords, just a different approach to playing the same chords. It's a little bit more advanced than your basic lower or first position type chords. All right, so we've looked at this. All right. Okay. Our second chord progression, this is what comes out in the chorus, right? So in the chorus, again, we have switched to D major from D minor. So now the chord, first of all, we're going to change our strum pattern from to this. Down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, up. Okay? And we're going to play a D for 4 beats, an A minor for 4 beats, D major again for 4 beats. I hope I said D major. And then F. And then we play that again. D, A minor, D, F. Okay? So let's do that together. Okay? So 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, and D. minor, 2, 3, and D, 2, 3, and F. Again, D, 2, 3, A minor, 2, 3, D, to F, 2, 3. Let's do it again. D, A minor, D, and F. D, A minor, D, F. One more time. I can't see me loving nobody but you for all my life. Let's do it again. When you're with me, baby, the skies will be blue for all my life. So that's the chorus. Was there a question? Yes?
It says in first position D minor. How about just strumming the 4, 3, and 2 strings, and then you can lift those 3 fingers to mute?
Yes. So the question was, when you're playing the D minor, why not just play those 3 strings and mute them? And you certainly can do that. Yes. If you're clever enough to be able to strum just only those 3 strings, that would be the tricky part. Or you could play a D up here, or I'm sorry, D minor. But you're quite right. If you played only the strings that have a finger on them, you could apply that finger lifting mute technique on just those 3 strings. Absolutely. Okay? All right. So let's just walk through one of the verses and the chorus. So basically we're going to take that first chord progression and the second chord progression and put them together in the context of the song. Okay? So Lyda, would you operate the keyboard here? Okay? So here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready. And me and you and me. No matter how they tossed the dice, they had to be. The only one for me is you, and you for me. So happy together. I can't see me loving nobody but you for all my life. When you're with me, baby, the skies will be blue for all my life. Does that make sense? Hopefully. Let's do that one more time, just because that's fun to do. And this verse is repeated a few times in the song. In fact, I'm going to play it up here in this position. So here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready. And me and you and me. No matter how they tossed the dice, it had to be. The only one for me is you, and you for me. So happy together. I can't see me loving nobody but you for all my life. When you're with me, baby, the skies will be blue for all my life. Make sense? Hopefully. I notice here my spell checker is flagging Skeisel. Skeisel? Is that not a word? Skeisel? I think that's an English word, Skeisel. The skies will be blue. Another thing, just as an aside, that I've seen folks do, I didn't put it into this arrangement, although you certainly could, where you have something like, instead of just doing this chop strum, in one of the verses, for example, you could do me and you and me. No matter how they tossed the dice, it had to be. The only one for me is you, and you for me. So happy together. Can't see me loving. You know, where you're doing that little triplet. Da, 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 da. And there's other ways to play that strum, that kind of a triplet strum. I'm just doing it up and down, but I'll save that for another day. Okay, so let's take a look at this intro. And I've got several different ways that you can approach playing this intro. One I thought was pretty straightforward for those who wanted to kind of try their hands. Oh, you're seeing my drink. And this you can play all on the A string. one of the reasons why I like doing this song in this key is it becomes very easy to use this, I guess you might call it a cheat, to play this intro. So for those of you who aren't familiar with this little doodad here, we call this a tab or a tablature. The 4 lines from top to bottom represent the 4 strings of the ukulele, from G, C, E, A on the top, and the numbers indicate the fret at which that string is being played. Okay, it's the fret at which you're fingering that particular string. The little stems down below indicate the timing. If you're familiar with sheet music, don't worry about those. For our purposes, we're going to follow along with each other to play. Okay, so the way you can do this in this case is like so, and I'm going to play it really slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that we can get the effect of that intro by all playing it only on this one A string. Let me do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I'm playing that. There's a couple of different ways, or several different ways that you might approach playing that with your picking hand. If you're a thumb player, you might find it more comfortable to play with your thumb. Or you might choose to play it by plucking with your finger. I'm sorry. What I'm doing, and what I tend to do when I'm picking, is this sort of thing, where I'm using the nail on my index finger as a pick or a plectrum, right? And I'm applying my thumb to the first joint of that index finger in order to buttress it, to give it a little bit of sturdiness and strength. And so I'm playing that string by using that. And any one of those is fine. I think you can hear, though, that there's a subtle difference. And so maybe if you learned how to play a picking part using any of those 3 techniques, you would then have those 3 different techniques in your toolkit to apply to whatever sound. I think you can hear the difference. For example, when I play with my thumb, it's a little bit softer, a little bit gentler, because I'm using the pad, the soft pad of my thumb. When I'm pulling with my finger, a little bit louder, a little bit more percussive perhaps, or staccato. And then when I play by picking with my nail, probably the loudest sounding and maybe the most strident of all of them. So depending on the sound that you might be trying to achieve, you might pick one or the other, or simply choose your preferred one, whatever one you think works best for you. Let's play this together a couple of times. And for those who really just prefer to do the strums, totally fine, but give this a shot just to get some practice with it. Okay? So let's just try this. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and. Again. One more time. Yeah. So if you wanted to then take it up a notch to something a little more complicated, because what's actually happening, and this is an approach to playing it that I just kind of fooled around with yesterday. I was playing the song, and there's so many different ways you can play the same picking parts. Sometimes it's hard to choose, but this one I think is kind of an easy one to try. So here's what I'm doing. I'm putting, in this case, my middle finger and my ring finger both on the 5th fret of my E and A strings. For the picking part, I'm pinching these 2 strings. And so what's indicated here in this diagram is, for example, that very first note is with the thumb. That's what the T indicates. And I know that's not the traditional way to represent the thumb, but thumb, T for thumb. So I've got thumb and then index, and then the other notes are played by plucking both strings together. So in this case, it sounds like this. Again. I like that because it's more like the original, because in the original, we get that A note kind of as a drone. So instead of doing, we get more like this. So we're getting 2 notes in there at the same time. It sounds a bit more like the original arrangement. Was there a question?
2 questions.
2 questions. Oh boy.
Could we play it too by just using the D minor chord?
Yes.
Repeat the question.
So the question was, can you play this using the D minor chord shape? And the answer is yes. And it depends on which D minor chord we're talking about. This D minor up here or this D minor down there, because you can do it both ways. And I have an illustration of that in just a minute. So hold on tight. I'm going to show you that.
Do you pick with your nail up or down?
The question is, do I pick with my nail up or down? First of all, that's a very personal question. But no, the answer is yes. I pick with it both up and down. So I'm going up and down. So really, I'm using that nail as, again, as a pick, as a plectrum. So I mostly do down, but under certain circumstances, it's helpful to be able to do both ways. And you'll notice, this is my fretting hand. You'll notice I keep my nails very short on my fretting hand so that nails don't interfere with getting the strings fully pressed onto the fretboard. My fingers on this hand, on the other hand, I keep them a little bit long so that I can use them as picks, both up and down, okay? Again, and it's always, to me, sort of a balancing act. The longer they get, they tend to sound better and work better as a pick, but they also become fragile and will break off. If they're too short, they don't work very well as a pick. So I find, I don't know, about 1/8 of an inch or so, for me, works well. And I try to keep them at that length, roughly. So very short on my left hand and maybe 1/8 to 3/16 on my right hand. But it is the same up and down. We're going to look at that D minor shape in just a moment. So let me just play through this a couple more times. If you want to play along, join in. I know if you're not familiar playing tablature, this is kind of a step up in a challenge, but don't worry about it. I always say this at our meetings when we meet together, that we always need many more people who are strumming than who are doing the picking. For all the folks who are picking the picking parts, we need to have at least double or triple that number of people who are doing the strums. So I never want people to feel like, well, I'm just going to do the strumming, but I know that's not as good. That is not the case. The strums, the rhythm section, the heartbeat of the song, every bit as important as the picking part. So I'm just asking, for purposes of our little tutorial here, give it a shot. Okay? So let's try this in this configuration. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and. One more time. Yeah, So that's a second approach you could take. Here's one that's a little bit more challenging, but I think even sounds a little bit more like the original in the sense that you can also flow into the remaining picking parts of each of the verses. But so what I'm doing is I'm playing D minor way up here on the 8th fret. Again, remember the number there indicates the fret where our fingers are. So this is actually a D minor way up high starting on the 8th fret. You'll recognize it as a G minor shape. It's a G minor way down here, but up here, it's a D minor. If we walk this up, we get to D minor. And again, I'm indicating here the frets that are being picked and the fingers that I'm using to play them. And this sounds the same, but it's a little bit different. So that's what I meant, kind of being, smart alecky about it, that it depends on which D minor shape you're talking about. Because there's also a D minor down here, which we'll get to in a second. But I did want to point out that there's this approach. So not something that you would necessarily get in, while we're doing this live, but something to practice. And by the way, if I haven't mentioned it before, this presentation that I'm showing here, I will make this available on the Austin Ukulele Society website. So probably sometime late tomorrow afternoon or early evening, a copy of this, if you go to austinukulelesociety.com and click on the header that is for the music library, you will see the link for the downloadable chart. Also, the entirety of this PowerPoint presentation as a PDF will be available to you. So if you want to play back through this live stream and practice, or even slow it down and practice along with these tabs, you will have the opportunity to do that. So I'll put that out there in the next 24 hours or so, okay? So let me play this one more time in this configuration. So 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, and. One more time. Just a different approach based on the D minor chord shape, but the D minor chord shape up here on the 8th fret. Now, I did want to point out, and this is probably what whoever was asking the question about the D minor shape, probably what they were getting at was playing it in this D minor configuration, which works really well if you have a low G ukulele, as I'm playing here. Because what you can do is this, way down here. Again, following along with these tabs, and basically you'll notice my hand, if you can see my hand never leaves the D minor configuration. Just a different way to approach this, and something to practice if you'd like to do it. You can play this on a high G uke. It just sounds a little bit different. It doesn't sound quite like the original. So in answer to whoever was asking the question, yes, you can play this picking part in the intro using the D minor shape, either way up here or way down here. And in fact, in my demo video of this song, looking at the screen in the lower left, I'm playing it up here on one uke, and to the lower right, I'm playing it in the low D minor shape configuration. And they sound great together, so that if you're doing this as part of a group, like if you have a trio of people to play together or a large group, it sounds really, really wonderful when some people are playing low and some people are playing high. It just sounds really terrific in octaves. So something to try. Okay. I'm going to skip past this real quickly. If we have time, we'll come back to the verses. But I did want to touch on this real quickly. So I mentioned that in the verses there are these really nice backing vocals that you can do that um, on top of the melody, or rather below the melody, are these backing parts. And so, if you, for example, are considering playing along in our group video, you might want to consider singing these backing vocals, either as you're recording or as a separate recording. Do one singing the melody and another playing the backing vocals. I'm not making that demand, but it's something to maybe give a try. And so let me just point out what these are. I've included here the traditional music staves as well as the tablature for these. So the high part would be, and I'm showing here the lyrics for verse 2, but it's the same notes, just different lyrics in verses 3 and 4. So just to be aware of that. So it starts here on the 5 fret of our E string. So it goes, call you up, ease my mind, very fine, so happy together. Right? So it walks down. Call you up, ease my mind, very fine, so happy together. Okay, like that. And then there's a lower harmony part. And again, some of the women might want to sing this actually as a higher part. Just sing it up an octave. Doesn't really matter. But this one goes, call you up, ease my mind, very fine, so happy together. Right? So what you end up with is, if I play both of these parts together, is call you up, ease my mind, very fine, so happy together. Something like that. So I just wanted to point that out. That is something that we can do as an additional harmony. So I wanted to be sure to get to that, but let's drop back to this verse part. There's a really nice little picking part that I do in my demo, and for those who want to try it, it very much mimics the intro, but it walks it down the neck. So you have this kind of an approach. You have, start on the 8th fret. So that's being played in the background while others are strumming the chords. Actually, while most people are strumming the chords, we have this little That's how you know it's live, folks. And you can also play that, you can play it down a fret. I didn't tab that out. That's fine. It's actually played more up here. The reason I like putting that in there, and why I like doing this higher version of the intro, is that you can actually play something that's a little bit closer to the original for this picking part. Something like... which is probably the closest thing to what's actually being played in the original. There's actually a further note that's being played there. It sounds pretty dissonant to me, so I didn't include it, but it's just something to play around with and give it a shot. All right, I see we're getting short of time. I did want to share just this little instrumental, just maybe to walk through it. This is something that's done in the 4th verse. It is played while they're singing me and you and me, no matter how they tossed the dice, it had to be. And it's actually in the original recording played on an oboe, but I've rendered it here in ukulele tablature, and it starts out, so it's like so. Let me just play through it so you get a sense of it for practicing later with the presentation. So it's like so. Let me do that one more time. So that's the upper version of that. So something to practice along with. Again, I'm picking with my index finger, pushing down, and I'm playing the notes. In this case, I'm all doing it by pushing down. Although you certainly can play it with your thumb. Pretty hard. I find it hard on the thumb, but. Anyway, so something to try there. There's also a low version of it. One thing I will point out, let me just point out this note right here. Ideally, that would be a low F, which we don't have available to us on even a low G tuned ukulele. So all I'm doing there is I'm staying on that third fret for both of those two notes. Again, so it's like this. While others are bum 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 bum. So I wanted to play through those just in case someone wanted to circle back around and play along and learn how to do this picking part. Okay, so I think that's it. I think that's all of our breakdown. We've looked at the strums, the chords, the progressions, different ways of playing the chords. We've looked at the intro in 3 different ways of playing it. We looked at the backing vocals in the verses, and we looked at a special picking part that's played in the background of verse 4. Was there a question?
On exercise 10, what is the meaning of the TI below the staff?
Exercise 10. Oh, yes. What the TI indicates is thumb or index finger. So what I'm indicating there is the finger that I'm using to play that particular note. So for example, that first note I'm playing on the so in other words, that first note is thumb, second note index, then thumb and index. So that's what the I indicates index finger, the T indicates thumb. So I'm indicating there the finger that I'm using to pluck that string. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, please ask again in the chat. Was there another question? Okay, cool. Let's play through the song from the beginning. Let's do the whole thing together. Ooh, let's just jump to there. Okay. So again, just to point out, we're going to start off with just picking one time through the picking pattern. Then, those of you who are strumming, come in strumming on the second time through. In the original recording, that's when the drums kick in after the first 4 beats, or rather the first 2 measures of the song. And then we start up with verse 1. Notice too that the first word of the song actually starts at the end of the intro. So for example, it's imagine, and then me and you. So the first beat of the song is actually the second word, me. Imagine me and you, I do. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. All right, so let's take it from the top. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and strum. Imagine me and you, I do. I think about you day and night. It's only right to think about the girl you love and hold her tight. So happy together. If I should call you up, invest a dime, and you say you belong to me and ease my mind, imagine how the world could be so very fine, so happy together. I can't see me loving nobody but you for all my life. When you're with me, baby, the skies will be blue for all my life. Me and you and me, no matter how they toss the dice, they had to be. The only one for me is you, and you for me, so happy together. I can't see me loving nobody but you for all my life. When you're with me, baby, the skies will be blue for all my life. Me and you and me, no matter how they toss the dice, it had to be. The only one for me is you, and you for me, so happy together. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. A minor. Me and you and me, no matter how they toss the dice, it had to be. The only one for me is you, and you for me, so happy together. Ooh, so happy together. Ooh, and how is the weather? Ba 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 ba. So happy together. Ba 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 ba. So happy together. Ba 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 ba. So happy together. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. Very good. Nicely done. Let's have a cheer. Yes. Well played. And I did some extra strums here and there in the song. I hope that didn't throw you off, but just for fun, I threw in a couple of extra strums. This is a pretty short song. It's barely 2 minutes and 45 seconds. So let's do it again. I won't even raise the question. Let's just do it one more time since it's such a short song. Maybe we'll just slow it down just a little bit even and play it a little more. I hope that wasn't too fast for folks. All right, so here we go. I'm starting up here. Oh, and I pointed out in the song, but I neglected to mention it a little bit earlier. At the end of the bop 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 chorus, we actually don't go to the F chord as we normally would. We go to A minor. It's just a little change that they made at the end of the bop 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 bop. It stays on that A minor for 2 full measures. Okay, so it's just a little bit different there. That's why I called it out when we got to that spot. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, and strum. Imagine me and you, I do. I think about you day and night. It's only right to think about the girl you love and hold her tight. So happy together. If I should call you up, invest a dime, and you say you belong to me and ease my mind, imagine how the world could be so very fine, so happy together. I can't see me loving nobody but you for all my life. When you're with me, baby, So happy together, ooh, so happy together, ooh. And how is the weather? Ba 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 ba. So happy together, ba 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 ba. So happy together, ba 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 ba. So happy together, ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. Very good. Nicely done. Woo. Cool. Very good. Well, I hope you found that a lot of fun. I hope you found it entertaining, maybe educational. Thank you so much for your questions. It's such a fun song. And again, I hope you'll consider joining in on our group video project. It's a lot of fun. And there's no better way to learn a song than to perform it. So let's go to our wrap-up song for the evening. I see that we are just about out of time, so let me cue up our wrap-up song. But before I do, let me just mention a few things before we go on. First of all, huge thanks to Jen Richardson, who has been managing the chat this evening, and I'm sure her fingers have been flying and her fingertips are sore from all the chatting that's been going on, or at least I hope so. So huge thank you to Jen, not only for what she's done this evening, but for all the many, many things she does to coordinate and communicate and spread the word and get everybody on the same page. Managing our t-shirt sales, managing our finances, all of that stuff. So big thanks to Jen, and if you're on the chat, please give a big shout out and thank you to her. Remember to consider taking a photo of yourself watching the live stream or just with your ukulele, and send it to us at austinukes@gmail.com so that we can include it on our Facebook post and on our website. It's a lot of fun. If you could do that by Sunday, it would be terrific, and you would be assured of getting it into our most recent recap post for this month. Do consider participating in our group video project. Again, if you would like to participate, send an email to austinukes@gmail.com. Send an email to this address and let us know you are interested in participating. It's not a commitment, but just let us know. Do that, please, by Sunday so that we can be sure to include you on the email notification that goes out. So that would be Sunday, January 16. Next week, on Thursday, an email will go out with instructions on how to proceed with getting a copy of my play-along version of the song that has all the chords and all the lyrics and me playing, so that you can watch as you're hearing it and can just play along, and where to post your final recording. And then our good friends Marty and Paul will put all this together, and the next time we join online, we will debut our world premiere video of Happy Together. So please do that, and if you would, please do wait until you get the instructions and include your name and where you're from if you would like to have those included in the video. So remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you did like what you saw this evening, please give us a like. If you didn't, well, you can click dislike, but it's not very sportsmanlike. But at any rate, if you're not subscribing, please do, because I don't know where we will be next month. We may be here on February 10. We may try to meet in person and follow up with a live stream, but do follow closely our Facebook page or our website or this YouTube channel. Look in your email for a message from us on or around the 1st of February that will tell you what our plan is. And Jen and I will be working and collaborating and discussing what our plans are going to be. And finally, consider getting an Austin Ukulele t-shirt to help support the cause if you would like. And I think that's all the announcements I want to recap. Before we go, again, thank you so much for joining in this evening. If you're a first timer, I hope you thought this was interesting and fun and that you'll consider coming back again. Thanks to everybody who watches live, and thank you to all of you who are watching afterwards. I do leave these recordings posted on our YouTube channel indefinitely, so you can go back and see all 22 of them that go back, and all of the group videos and all of my demo videos. I leave all of this up, as well as all of the charts and all of the PowerPoints for you to download and view to play along with. So I hope you found it fun. Thank you so much for joining in. I look forward to this night every single month. I love playing ukulele. I hope that shows, and I love it more when I get to play it with folks like you. I hope we can play in person sometime, but if not, this will do just fine. So let's jump over. All right, on that note, for every one of our 11 years, and now starting on our 12th year, we've always wrapped up all of our meetings and get-togethers by playing Willie Nelson's On the Road Again before we head out on the road again. So let's do this. So just like our warm-up song, on this one we're going to strum on C, and then I'll count us in. We're going to use the island strum pattern, the one we used in the chorus of Happy Together, this down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down. Just a little faster, perhaps. So here we go. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and everybody playing, and 1, 2, 3, on the road again. Just can't wait to get on the road again. The life I love is making music with my friends, and I can't wait to get on the road again. On the road again, going places that I've never been, seeing things that I may never see again. And I can't wait to get on the road again. On the road again, like a band of gypsies we go down the highway. We're the best of friends, insisting that the world keep turning our way. And our way is on the road again. I just can't wait to get on the road again. Life I love is making music with my friends, and I can't wait to get on the road again. I can't wait, and I can't wait to get on the road again. One more time, and I can't wait to get on the road again. Thanks, everybody. Have a great month. We'll see you next time, I hope, and stay tuned for some of our past collaborative group videos. Good night, everyone. See you next time.
It two. Here comes the sun. Doo-doo-doo.
One, two, 1, 2, ready, and. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, and.